it is occupying upper 2/3. Extent, continuation of medulla oblongata. You should tell the extent if you are asked in the orals or in the practicals. You should appreciate that it starts from the imaginary horizontal line which passes just rostral to the attachments of the first pair of cervical nerves, otherwise upper border of the atlas, that is the upper extent. So now you should understand that in the foramen magnum, you should tell it is the medulla oblongata only. From the upper border of atlas to the lower border of first lumbar vertebra or the intervertebral disc between the first and second lumbar vertebra. So from the upper border of atlas to the lower border of first lumbar vertebra in adults. When it ends in a tapering extremity, conus medullaris. Why I told adults? Because this extent differs in the newborn and in the children. Length of the human spinal cord 45 cm in adult male and 42 cm in adult female, and its weight is 30 grams. Spinal cord, it is present in the upper 2/3 of the vertebral canal. Then what is the length of the vertebral canal? You should know the length of the vertebral canal is 60 centimeter. That's why it is 45 centimeter. So now the next is spinal enlargements. So you should understand spinal cord is enlarged in two parts, cervical enlargement and lumbar enlargement. So first, cylindrical spinal cord presents two fusiform enlargement. This cervical enlargement is extending from 4th cervical to 2nd thoracic cord segment, and its widest circumference is 38 millimeter. Lumbosacral enlargement extends from the 2nd lumbar to the 3rd sacral cord segments, and its widest circumference is 35 millimeter. So these are the two enlargements. Now we have covered extent, enlargement. Now coverings. So the coverings you will be knowing from outside to inwards: dura, arachnoid and pia mater. First we will start with the spinal dura mater. It is consisting of meningeal layer only. So you should have learned in the cranium it consists of two layers, outer endosteal and inner meningeal layer. In the spinal cord it consists of only meningeal layer. So this extends from this meningeal layer is the continuation from the cranium, from the foramen magnum to the lower border of second sacral vertebra. So here it is sacral vertebra. So you should appreciate this. Spinal cord is extending up to the lower border of L1, but spinal dura is extending up to the second sacral vertebra. Epidural space intervenes between the spinal dura and the periosteum of the vertebral canal. So you should understand this epidural space is only present around the spinal cord and not in the cranium, because in the cranium there are two layers of dura mater, that is the endosteal and inner meningeal layer. So this is the spinal dura mater. You can appreciate here this lower border of the spinal cord is at L1, but this dura mater is extending up to the S2. Spinal arachnoid invests the spinal cord, and this also extends up to second sacral vertebra. So now you should have understood extent of arachnoid and dura is up to S2. So that the subarachnoid space here from L1 to S2 vertebra will be called as spinal cistern. L1 is the lower extent of spinal cord. S2 is the arachnoid. So in between these two levels we are having a wide subarachnoid space that will be called as spinal cistern, that contains the CSF, roots of chorda equina and the phylum terminale. So in this CSF only lumbar puncture is done. So here in the spinal cistern, so there is no injury to the spinal cord. So you can put the needle in between this L1 to S2. So spinal pia mater presents three modifications. One is phylum terminale, two is linea splendens, and three is ligamentum denticulatum. So this is the phylum terminale. When you just see inside the carda equina, you will see that white thread-like structure. That will be the carda equina. That is phylum. That is the phylum terminale. In the middle of the carda equina, we have the phylum terminale. So the phylum terminale may be asked as short notes for you. So what is phylum terminale? It is non-nervous. Already we told it is a modification of pia mater. So it is non-nervous filamentous pia mater thread about 15 to 20 centimeter long. It is attached above to the conus medullaris and below in the central axis of the carda equina. This is called phylum terminale internum. Then that is up to it extends up to S2. So that is called phylum terminale internum. You should have now understood dura and arachnoid extends up to S2. So till that the pia mater is extending, this phylum terminale is extending internum. This beyond S2 also it pierces and finally blends with the periosteum of the dorsal surface of the first coccygeal vertebra, that is called phylum terminale externum. So total of 15 to 20 centimeter, it consists of two parts, phylum terminale internum and phylum terminale externum. So why it is, you should have thought now. So these are the factors keeping the spinal cord in position. That is the above continuation with the medulla oblongata. This phylum terminale is as if coming out of this dura and arachnoid and fixing it to the coccyx, as if it is nailing the spinal cord to the coccyx. So that is the factor for keeping the spinal cord in the position. What is ligamentum denticulatum? It is coronally oriented pile sheet. So that extends between the ventral and dorsal roots of the spinal nerves. It presents 21 triangular tooth-like processes. This you should understand. This ligamentum denticulatum is a pile sheet on either side of the spinal cord, one sheet, but it is not 21 ligamentum denticulatum. It presents tooth-like 21 processes. So these are the ligamentum denticulatum on either side of the spinal cord, 21 tooth-like processes. Why it is called denticulatum? Because it is tooth-like. Linea splendens, it is a median glistening line made of pia mater. You should see on the ventral surface of the lower part of the spinal cord along the anterior median fissure. We will now learn what is anterior median fissure. So in that part it is present, that is called linea splendens. So now you should have understood three modifications of the pia mater, that is the phylum terminale, ligamentum denticulatum and linea splendens. Now we will start with the external features. The surface of the cord is divided almost completely into two symmetrical halves by an anterior median fissure and a posterior median sulcus. Use narrow commissural band of nervous tissue with a central canal extends between the two halves. So what is anterior median fissure? It is a deep longitudinal cleft extending along the entire length of the spinal cord, which contains the anterior spinal artery. And also now only we learnt linea splendens is present. So this is the anterior median fissure, that is a deep cleft compared to the posterior median side. It's a deep cleft which extends along the entire length of the spinal cord. Posterior median sulcus is a faint groove. From the floor of the groove, posteromedian septum, which is formed of neuroglial tissue. So now you can appreciate this is the anterior median fissure, that is the deep groove. This is the posterior median groove and posterior median septum. So now this each half of the cord is divided into anterior and lateral and posterior areas by anterolateral and posterolateral sulcus. Anterolateral sulcus is the giving the way for the ventral roots of the spinal nerves, and posterolateral sulcus is the dorsal root fibers of the spinal nerves. So that will be now called as anterior area, lateral area and posterior area. So this is which are containing the anterior white funiculus and lateral white funiculus and posterior white funiculus respectively. This area is further divided in the cervical and upper thoracic segments into medial and lateral parts by the postero-intermediate septum. So now you should have understood. So by this two sulcus, anterolateral and posterolateral sulcus, now three areas. So this is anteromedian fissure, posteromedian sulcus and posteromedian septum. Again anterolateral and posterolateral sulcus, so that it will be divided into anterior and lateral and posterior. In the cervical and upper thoracic region, another septum is present, that is the postero-intermediate septum. Nerves attached to the spinal cord. Spinal cord gives attachment at the sides to the 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Each spinal nerve consists of two roots, ventral and dorsal. The spinal ganglion is present in the intervertebral foramen. So spinal cranial nerves and the vertebra, how they are related or how their levels are correlating. Cervical nerves 1 to 7 leave the intervertebral foramen above the pedicle of the numerically corresponding vertebra. From 8th, because cervical nerves vertebra are 7 but cervical nerves are 8th. So still that it is passing above. One nerve is coming extra, that is the 8th cervical nerve. So leaves the foramen above the pedicle of the first thoracic vertebra. Then first thoracic nerve will pass below the pedicle. So from 8th it will pass below that. So these are the spinal nerves, total 31 pairs of spinal nerves. So now what is spinal segment? Spinal segment is a portion of the spinal cord giving attachment to a pair of spinal nerves is called spinal or cord segments. So the spinal segments you should not correlate with the vertebral level because it is extending up to L1 only. So we can't correlate the spinal segments and the vertebral levels. So the spinal segment may be asked as short notes. You have to define like this: the portion of the spinal cord giving attachment to a pair of spinal nerves. Carda equina, horse tail. This may be asked as again short notes. Up to 3rd month of intrauterine life, the spinal segments and vertebral segments coincide. Otherwise, the spinal cord is extending to the whole vertebral level. Due to the rostral shift of the cord during the development, the length and obliquity of the spinal nerves increase progressively from above downwards. So, bunches of nerves known as carda equina. That is, carda equina means horse tail. So, they are extending from the lower end of the cord around the filum terminale, so that they have to reach the corresponding intervertebral foramina. So, how many nerves form the carda equina? Lower 4 pairs of lumbar, 5 pairs of sacral and 1 pair of coccygeal. So 10 pairs forms the carda equina. So this is how from the lower end of the spinal cord, conus medullaris, we have this carda equina. They are reaching to the corresponding intervertebral foramen. Factors keeping the spinal cord in position: bony cage of the vertebral canal, spinal meninges, CSF, rostral continuation with medulla oblongata, caudalate is fixed with filum terminale and carda equina, lateral suspension with the help of the ligamentum denticulatum. Internal features, we will tell very little details here, not about the entire. On cross section, the spinal cord presents grey matter in the interior and white matter at the periphery. Grey matter is arranged in H-shaped, and the grey matter only consists of nerve cells, neuroglia and blood vessels. Gray matter presents a pair of anterior gray column, a pair of posterior gray column, and an intermediate region, and a gray commissure. We will see in the picture. So this is we are telling anterior gray column and posterior gray column, and this is called as the gray commissure, that is in the middle part. Anterior gray column is broad and short, presents head and base. Posterior gray column, that is extending dorsolaterally close to the posterolateral sulcus, but it is separated by a dorsolateral fasciculus of Lissayer. Posterior gray column is longer, narrower, consists of base, neck, head, and apex. Base is continuous with the intermediate region of gray matter. Apex is capped with a translucent mass of nerve tissue that will be called as the substantia gelatinosa. Intermediate region, that is between the bases of anterior and posterior gray column, so that is called intermediate region. In the intermediate region, we have the lateral horn in the thoracic and lumbar region, which will give origin to the sympathetic nervous system. Then what is gray commissure? This gray commissure is traversed by the central canal lined by the ependyma. Within the conus medullaris, it is dilated to form the terminal ventricle. So terminal ventricle may be the very brief or MCQ, which may extend into the proximal part of the filum terminale also for a distance of about 4 to 5 millimeter. You should have learnt many ventricles, but this what is terminal ventricle also you should know. Whether the central canal is central in position, do you think, in the gray commissure? No. It's ventral in position in the cervical and thoracic segments, central in the lumbar segments, dorsal in the caudal segments. Central canal is surrounded by neuroglial tissue, that is the substantia gelatinosa centralis, so that it divides the gray commissure into ventral and dorsal parts. So in this crossing of spinal thalamic tracts take place in the ventral commissure. What is white matter is consisting? White matter consists of nerve fibers, neuroglia, and blood vessels. Whiteness is due to the myelination of the nerve fibers. This white matter occupies the periphery of the butterfly-shaped central gray matter, and it is arranged into 3 pairs of funiculi. They are the anterior, lateral, and posterior. Anterior funiculi extends from the anterior median fissure to the most lateral fibers of the ventral nerve roots. Posterior funiculus extends on each side from the posterolateral sulcus to the posteromedian septum. So if you see this, you may be asked to draw the structure of the spinal cord, but you have to understand that the structure of the spinal cord varies in various levels, cervical, thoracic, and lumbar regions. So these are the various levels. You can appreciate how they are modified, how their structure of gray matter, white matter. So you have to learn and correctly draw the internal structure of the spinal cord at various levels. So this, you may be asked mainly the external features of the spinal cord and the blood supply. So the spinal cord receives the blood supply from the anterior and posterior spinal branches of vertebral artery, along with the segmental spinal branches from the deep cervical, ascending cervical, intercostal, and the lumbar arteries. So that this forms a chain of arteries around the spinal cord that is called vasa corona. Anterior spinal trunk extends throughout the cord along the anterior median fissure. Posterior trunk, that is a spinal trunk, sometimes double. It is less prominent compared to the anterior spinal trunk. So these 3 arterial trunk communicate around the cord, that is called vasa corona. So vasa corona may be asked as short note. So you should understand it is the arterial supply of the spinal cord. From this vasa corona, the spinal branches reach the cord. It is called radicular arteries. Radicular arteries, they anterior and posterior radicular arteries along the corresponding roots of the spinal nerves. Anterior radicular arteries are majority are slender, approximately 8 in number. They are enlarged in the lower cervical, lower thoracic and upper. They are called as great radicular arteries. They approach the anterior median fissure, anastomose with each other. In this radicular artery, one artery is very large. It is called arteria radicularis magna, artery of Adam Kiewicz. This provides nutrition to the lower one-third of the spinal cord. So this posterior radicular arteries are smaller in size but more in number than the anterior radicular arteries. So this anterior median trunk divide into right and left branches. They supply the anterior gray column, bases and posterior bases of the posterior gray column. This is what I was telling, vasa corona. This is one artery, two posterior. They form the arterial circle. You can appreciate how much part is supplied by the anterior spinal trunk and how much part is supplied by the posterior spinal trunk. It is extending up to the bases of the posterior gray column also, that's and the surrounding white matter. This anterior trunk supplies the ventral two-third. So it is supplying not half, ventral two-third of the cross section of the spinal cord. Rest of the cord is supplied by a pair of posterior arterial trunks and by the vasa corona. So you have to write vein. If the blood supply of spinal cord is asked, you have to write the venous drainage also. About 6 longitudinal veins drain the blood from the spinal cord. One lies along the anterior median fissure and one along the posterior median sulcus, one behind the ventral roots and another in front of the dorsal roots. So we have the 6 longitudinal veins. So 3 arteries and 6 longitudinal veins. Ultimately, they drain into the vena cava, azygos veins and the basilar venous plexus. So we have learnt in this video very detailed structure, external feature of the spinal cord, internal structure of the spinal cord, including the blood supply of the spinal cord. And this is a very important topic in the neuroanatomy. We have so many questions which may be asked: external structure, internal feature, enlargements of the spinal cord, spinal segments, blood supply of the spinal cord, carda equina, phylum terminale. So I can tell so many short notes in this also. So you see the video completely so that you will understand this topic. With the next topic in the neuroanatomy, we will see in the next video. Thank you.